All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Judge Jones. We're here. This is a work group meeting of the pretrial processes work group as a work group of the Incarceration Prevention Reduction Task Force. I'm Judge Jones. As far as introducing everyone here, we have Kelsey McDonald, who's an employee of the court. Hi, Kelsey, with pretrial services. We have Jake Webush, who's the court administrator of Whatcom County District Court. Stephanie Kraft, the court administrator of Whatcom County Superior Court. Maya Vano, who is the chief criminal deputy of the Whatcom County Public Defender's Office. And then Carol Donovan, who's the victim advocate of the small cities. That's still your title, isn't it, Carol? Okay, good. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. We haven't met for a while, so it's good that we're here. There's a few things that I wanted to go over. I don't think it'll take too long, but those are just kind of the progress of our pretrial services department, what's been happening in Superior Court, and then field any questions about that. There are a few things to talk about, I think, and then the last thing I want to talk about before we adjourn is kind of the future of this work group and what people think about continued meetings for this work group and continued work of this group. So that's how I want to go through it. Oh, I want to introduce somebody important, and I forgot. So this is Mallory Hamilton. She's with us today. Mallory is a new employee of the Superior Court. Mallory, what's your title? Your programs manager?
Yeah, programs manager.
Great.
Yes. So I manage all of the Superior Court programs.
So part of that role has had Mallory involved in the pretrial services department, Superior Court. She's been working with Alan Epps and Kelsey on their programs, and so that's why she's here today. And I think I've asked her to talk about some of the new policies that the pretrial services division has finalized. So is there anything anybody needs to address before we kind of start with Mallory's work, talking to us about those policies? Great. Mallory, go ahead if you don't mind, please.
Okay. I won't go into too much detail, but Alan worked on policies and procedures for pretrial services. He's been working on them I think he started working on them many, many months ago, and they were just recently approved by Judge Jones. So those policies and procedures are supporting the work that Kelsey and Alan are doing. And I think it's important that those have gone into place. Judge Jones, did you want me to go into any more detail about those, or?
We were able to send them out kind of late this morning, and I apologize for that. So is there any, I guess maybe what I'd like to do is just ask if anybody's had an opportunity to review those or any questions based on those that anybody might have.
I didn't have time I opened it, but I didn't really read it. Could we walk through it maybe? Can you share screen and?
But I've got those open if you want me to share a screen, or Mallory, you're able to do that yourself if you have them open.
Jill, why don't you do that? That would be great. Thank you. So Kelsey might have to help me with some of these because I have only been in this position for the last 3 months, and Kelsey knows how these work probably better than I do. But we've got a policy here on closing defendants of pretrial supervision. So successful closing is if we have a guilty plea, deferred prosecution, dismissal, guilty verdict by jury, acceptance into therapeutic court, so recovery court, and checkbox assigning defendant to pretrial services is not checked on new or updated release conditions. Kelsey, is there anything else to add to this?
No, this one's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, and this is just how to do that. So
I just kind of add generally here too for everybody. What these policies are meant to do is memorialize most of what's already been occurring in pretrial services. So none of this, I think, is going to be any sort of change, but rather just making sure that what we're doing currently is memorialized in a policy and is consistent across clients of pretrial services, and that there's some accountability to our department to do that work consistently regarding everyone. So that's kind of the general overview of all of what this is.
Great. And this one I see, just glancing at it, considerations relating to reporting requirements. Is there something before this or in addition to this that says who's making that decision and when and how it can be reviewed or appealed,
Yeah.
anything like that?
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't. We'll get to the policy, I think, but what was
Okay.
decided is that pretrial service, the officers within pretrial services, so Kelsey and Alan would have some discretion to modify reporting requirements in relation to specific individuals and their circumstances. So if somebody's out in Kendall and doesn't have transportation, the pretrial service officers would have the ability to authorize a telephone contact or Zoom contact or something that works better for that person. So we gave them a series of factors to consider in the policy when making that determination, just so it would be transparent what was being decided as far as each person.
And
That's what this is.
if an attorney or client, if a client had an issue with the way it was being exercised, their lawyer could then just like note it up for the court to actually review, like that would be the review process, would be
Sure.
motion to revise the release.
Yeah, it would be-
something like that.
I think so, Maya. It would.
Okay.
I think it would come to the court like a modification of release conditions. If there was some requirement that didn't seem right.
Okay, so we've got filing a notice of no contact with pretrial services. So if someone hasn't reported to pretrial within 24 hours of release from custody, this would be a notice that would be given to Kelsey. Does this go to the commissioners? Go ahead.
This is one we just file on our own. We don't need a commissioner's signature on it. This one, if someone's released from custody, they're supposed to contact us within a certain time period. And if that doesn't happen, then we would submit this notice.
Thank you.
There are policies that will come next that talk about escalating that from a simple notice of no contact to a notice of violation.
And it's not like business days or anything, it's just 24 hours. So
Yeah.
if they're released on Friday at 6 p.m., they don't get till Monday.
They do get till Monday.
Okay, that's not clear from that policy.
Okay.
It just says 24 hours. It doesn't discuss like weekends or holidays or anything.
I think
Just-
they're assigned a particular time to report after their release. So I think at the moment of the release of a defendant, they're told to report the next available business day.
Okay.
So 24 hours would be geared off that report time requirement of theirs.
And we
Okay.
do meet with people in the jail and explain that verbally to them. If you're going to be released tonight and it's Friday night, we operate during business hours, so you would have to call or come
Yeah.
see us on Monday.
Yeah, just seems like the policy should.
I'll look at that, Maya, because
I'm making notes too. I'll make notes and follow up with Alan.
okay.
Mhm. Thank you. Okay, and so then this goes into when they do a public safety assessment, it will, oh wait, hold on. Okay, Kelsey, I need you on this one too. Thank you.
Yes, so this is just a violation, kind of a guideline to when we file a notice of alleged violation. Let's see, it lays out. So someone who's on low and they miss an appointment, it's not necessarily, we don't necessarily file something immediately when they miss an appointment.
Yeah, we wanted to create a grid. I mean, we wanted to create a grid that categorized different levels of violations and not treat all of those the same. So depending on what it might be, and the responses to those things are then directed differently for the pretrial service officer. So if you could follow the grid along, if it's categorized as a minor violation, then based on their level of supervision, there's different necessary responses, and same throughout the grid. So it's meant to just create consistency in the response of pretrial services. And again, all of this, the theme is that pretrial service officers are not probation officers in the sense that we're creating some sort of enforcement mechanism or necessarily. I mean, eventually that has to be reported to the court and done in that way. But what we're trying to model here is efforts to work with individuals and to help them get to court, respond to different situations, and categorize those less seriously if we can. That's kind of the idea of this grid.
Okay, so this one is based off of the public safety assessment, and this is through an assessment tool, and then it scores them and it'll put them at low, medium, or high. And this is the kind of the framework for each of these and what is expected and what they get support with, right? Court date notifications and when they need to check in with pretrial. Okay, so Kelsey, would you like to explain this one?
Sure. This is the one you referenced earlier, just the filing a notice of alleged violation. So this would come with a criminal history check that we would be doing either weekly or monthly. And if we find a new violation, then that's when it's signed off on by a commissioner that we submit to the court.
Okay, so filing a notice of alleged violation for new alleged crimes. So if somebody does have a new alleged crime, this is kind of what everybody's part is in it. So
There is kind of an important part of this too that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kelsey, but what this envisions is that the pretrial service officers files an informational report or a notice of alleged violation as an informational report to the court and to the parties. And then it's incumbent upon the parties if they to seek review of that in court and remedy for that if they think it's appropriate. So if somebody has a new crime that the pretrial service officer notices on their monthly criminal history check, they'll file notice of that, and then in that circumstance, the prosecutor might or might not be motivated to file for review of release conditions in court based on that violation. So it's not the pretrial service officer themselves pursuing enforcement of the violation. They're serving as a notice mechanism to the parties and the court.
filing a notice of alleged violation for no contact. Kelsey, I'm gonna keep asking you, so
No,
maybe you
that's
can just
fine.
take over. Yes.
So if someone hasn't reported within a certain time period, so for 30 days for someone on high, then we would do a notice of alleged violation also and submit that information to the court.
Okay, filing a notice of alleged violation for no contact with pretrial services. So here's the procedure for that. Okay, and then reducing defendant's pretrial supervision level for compliance. Do you recall what the conversation was around this, Judge Jones and Kelsey?
Yeah, I do. We thought it was important to have a mechanism for folks that are complying with or participating with pretrial services in the way that we've asked them to. So I know there are some individuals that have, doing daily reporting or weekly reporting or some sort of condition like that, and they've been doing it for 2 years or 3 years that their case is pending. it's an extreme example, but I think that's accurate, at least to one person.
It-
So we
it
want,
is
we wanted to have
accurate. It is accurate for at least one of our clients.
okay, so we wanted to have a mechanism to say, hey, this person has demonstrated, um, uh, an ability to follow the court order in regards to pretrial service, and that we feel there are the risk analysis associated with that person is different now based on that compliance, and we can reduce their level of reporting. So that
Question,
One-
can it be reduced to never reporting?
Yes.
Can the pretrial officer ask to have them removed from pretrial services?
yes. I mean, that would be a reduction in services to 0. Also the informational reports that are meant, I think we'll get to those, these status reports we're going to talk about next, those are also meant to give an attorney that's representing this individual information that they could seek a reduction in requirements for their client if they wanted to, based on information pretrial services is gathering, like no new crimes, regular reporting, these sorts of things. So can we go back to that? Oh, no, here it is. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, so we have directed the judges have directed pretrial services to complete these status reports on all of their pretrial clients upon request. And that the officers are directed in how to do that, what they look at, and what needs to be reflected in the report. And I don't know if that's articulated. Is there a template of one of these somewhere? We had a template, a status report template that identified who the person was, what their level of supervision is, how long they've been on supervision, how often they've regularly reported, how often their criminal history has been checked and found to be clean. There was a series of notes that would be taken and a status report that could be provided to a lawyer upon request, so that could give information that could be presented to the court if conditions of release wanted to be changed. Anybody wanted to do that? That was the idea with these status reports.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we weren't attempting to be controversial in any way here. If anybody with more time to review these has comments, you can make those to me if that's easy for you.
Great. I'm going to publish them, like what was sent by Jill this morning to my crew, and point out a couple things and let them know that comments could be directed to you, Judge Jones.
Great. I'd be happy to talk to anybody about those. We want to create some consistency and some accountability for the work of the pretrial services. That's what we're trying to do. All right. Thanks, Mallory, for rolling with the punches.
Yes, I'm sorry. I wasn't part of the creation of these, and I'm still learning the job duties. So
No, you did
Yes.
great. I know. It's like happy first day at work. Yeah. All right. Anybody else want to talk about those now? Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is on the agenda, and I'm going to be kind of vague about this because this is an ongoing process. But as folks here probably know, part of what pretrial services does is implement the risk assessment, the PSA, which is in relation to each new booking and meant to inform commissioners making release decisions for those individuals. So that's part of the work of pretrial services. This group worked on implementing that PSA years ago. We have this year been able to, thankfully, we've been able to hire a statistician to work on a validation study about the PSA and do some analysis of the statistics around its use and how it's working. So we have received a preliminary draft report back about that. We are in the process of meeting with the statistician to ask questions about the report and kind of understand it before we publish it and talk about it with all the stakeholders. So I just wanted to give everybody an update that that's happening. Mallory, when are we meeting Dr. Hamilton? Soon, I think.
We're meeting on October 8th, which is next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Okay, so this is late breaking or ongoing, but everybody will be made aware of things as we finalize report. All right, any questions about that?
Well, I guess, how will the report be published, and will it come through this work group before publishing?
I don't know that
Okay.
yet,
Okay.
Maya. I just don't know enough of the
Okay.
how that will work. Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. The last thing is the last thing. So is that I've been kind of thinking over the last couple months, especially over the summer when we didn't have regular work group meetings, that it's a possibility that the work of this group could be collapsed or consolidated with the Law and Justice subcommittee of the IPRTF. And that might be more appreciative of everyone's time. We can be an agenda item on their committee, within their committee meetings, and kind of do work as necessary within that. So I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but I wanted to kind of get some feedback from the folks here about what people think about that. I talked to Peter Frazier, who was supportive of the idea, but he wanted me to rightfully to talk to the members of this group about that.
I think that is a good idea in general, but I am intrigued by the report you just mentioned, and that really just seems to actually be the heart of why we've been meeting for so long over and over, really honestly not doing a whole lot for a long time. And now I'm like, oh, we actually have this thing that we could do something with and seems kind of important. So it's like, it kind of seems like weird that we're canceling it now when there's actually like substantive stuff we could look at. I don't care if we do it in a different context. It's just that I feel like we've been waiting for this forever, and it's now we're getting it, and we're going to disband just as long as it's somewhere. I don't care if it's here. Thanks.
I think that's a really good point. Kind of as I'm talking out loud, I was thinking a similar thing, that maybe we kind of hold off on a decision to change the format of this group until we've worked through this validation study.
Yeah, because it seems like it will require some focus, time, and maybe even like going through it like we just did those policies. I hate to say that, but I know that it's difficult to get the prep time for these things, and we may need explanation and questions. And yeah, Jill, sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just wanted to remind everyone that there's still one more meeting on the books on December 7th of this group. And in addition, Judge Jones, you're welcome to call a special meeting, a little more frequently, since you have a product you want people to look at, if that's something you want to do, if we can find a common time for everyone. So those are two options as well.
Thanks, Jill. That's helpful.
Not December 7th, because that's a Sunday, or the 2nd, because that's a Tuesday. What day is it?
The first Friday of December, you're correct. Sorry about that.
Okay,
December
the 5th.
5th.
Got it.
Yes. Thanks, Maya.
Yep.
Anybody else have a thought about this?
I think I would concur that maybe we at least continue status quo through December and pick it back up and see where we're at.
All right, anybody opposed to that idea? I agree with that. Anybody opposed to it? Okay, then great. We'll keep the meeting on the books December 5th. After Mallory and I meet with Dr. Hamilton next week, if we think there's something more pressing that would need a special meeting, then I'll reach out to everybody with that. Okay, that completes our agenda from my perspective. Anybody have anything they would like to address before we log off?
If that report is available, as soon as it's available, that would be interesting to see ahead of time of the December meeting.
Yes, it's fair, Carol. When we finalize it, we'll circulate it in time to have a meaningful discussion about it, for sure. And understand it. It's kind of dense and complicated, which is part of the reason why we need to meet with the the statistician. All right, anything else from anyone? Okay, thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your lunch.
Excuse
Thank
me,
you.
Judge, we do have
Yeah.
one attendee today. Can I
Oh,
give
okay.
them the opportunity to speak? If Hannah, if you would like to speak to the work group, please virtually raise your hand now. And no hands are raised. Thank you, everyone.
All right, have a good day.